Greetings, comic friends. I recently got back from a trip to Canada, a little place right outside of Winnipeg. And on that trip, I was able to pick up a few things. I did post a short little video on this on my TikTok and Instagram. So if you haven't seen that, this is going to be the same stuff. Or if you have seen that, this is going to be the same stuff, but I just might talk a little bit more about it. If you haven't seen it, then I don't know. Why aren't you watching my Instagram and TikToks? What are you doing with your life? So, drove up north. On the way there, I stopped at Rainbow Comics, which I've been to a few times now. That's in, was it Sioux Falls? Sioux City? I forget off the top of my head. Sioux something. South Dakota. The first or second time I think it was the second time I went there. I've traveled up the way a few times for different camping trips and whatnot. I made a friend there, John, who works there and still works there, thankfully. And luckily he was in the day that I went in there. So gotta catch up with him a little bit. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. It sounds like he's working on a book. He does YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. Check him out, John on Demand. He's really into horror stuff. So if you really like horror comics, then you should definitely be following him. But when I went there, in general, I was looking for a number of things. Daredevils. I am close to my full Daredevil run. And also filling in this 90s Demon run that started with Alan Grant. And I think Garth Ennis ends up picking it up at some point. But I had the first 21 issues, loved it, so I wanted to finish up the run. So looking for that. And, always looking to fill in some various TMNTs and any other cool books or random things that I find. So from Rainbow, they had a good chunk of demons that I needed, a total of 12 demons. So I picked those up. 12 is probably about half of what I needed. So I need somewhere around that to finish that up, which isn't too hard. These books are out there. None of them are rare. None of them are valuable. It's just a really good run, or at least what I've read so far is really good. So putting that together. Also, as you know, or may not know, I don't know. I also like picking up vintage trading cards, particularly from around when I was a kid, just because nostalgia and blah, 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 blah. So, if I can, I like to find boxes so I can open them up and get to relive that experience of opening up old packs. So they had this box of 1990s Rad Dudes cards by Pacific. Pacific Trading Cards. I'm not sure what else they have done. These look like, if this is the art that's on them, these look really bad. But in that 90s great sort of way. I've opened out of trading cards from this time. I mean, even if you look at Garbage Pail Kids from before then, art was a lot better, probably a lot better production value and whatnot. But man, this just speaks to the time. So I had to pick it up. I'm going to crack these open. Probably right after I finish recording this video, I'm going to crack these open and record that. So look for that box opening soonish. So that's what I got there. And then when I went up to the place I was staying, I took a day to make a road trip to Winnipeg to see what sort of comic shops they have there. I've been to that area before, but never went to Winnipeg proper to look at shops. The day that I had set aside was unfortunately kind of a weird day, or there are 2 days that I could have gone. There were a total of 4 shops that I wanted to go to, and only 2 were open on either of those 2 days. So I couldn't go there on either of those 2 days and hit all 4. I could only hit 2. So I picked the day that had the shop that I was most interested in going. The first place I stopped was, now I forget the name of it. Book Fair, I think. It was half used bookstore, half comic store. They had a lot of really good comics that I was interested in, and all the really, really sexy stuff was all on consignment, and in my opinion was priced too high, so they were not able, and because they were on consignment, they were not able to work on the price at all, which was too bad, because they were good looking books. They were overpriced. They did have one that I ended up getting that I don't have, that I've always just kind of wanted in my collection, and that's Micronauts #1. Nothing big. It's not in mint condition. It's in really good shape. There's one or two pretty nasty spine ticks on it. But I spent a lot of time there. I talked with one of the owners for quite a bit. Super, super nice guy, talking about collecting and the industry and what's been kind of going on, and just about Canada and versus US in general and stuff. Really, really nice guy. So I wanted to support him somehow, so I picked up this Micronauts. It wasn't a stellar deal, but it wasn't bad. So I went ahead and picked that up, and am happy to add that to the collection. Then the other place that I went was a place called Galaxy Comics. And, when you look up shops online and you're deciding if you want to go someplace or not, there's some photos that we posted and everything. And sometimes it gives a good indicator of what it's like, and sometimes not. But usually, as soon as you walk in a place and you see, you're like, okay, this is going to be a good place for what I'm looking for, or they might not have a lot of what I'm looking for. Not that it's a bad shop, it's just this isn't for me. So, as soon as I walked in there, I got that feeling of this probably isn't a shop for me. One of the big indicators of that is, in this case, was the amount of floor space that was dedicated to Funko Pops. I know Funko Pops do really well for shops like that, and I think that's great. Funko Pops aren't for me. So typically when you see a big section like that, it's like, okay, this is kind of focusing mostly on new stuff. That's not always true, but this is mostly focusing on newer stuff. And I saw a big Magic the Gathering section was also taking up a huge chunk of floor space, which, again, great, not for me. And then I saw a lot of, on one of the walls, a lot of new toys. And then there was a room in the back with other toys that had maybe some older, and when I say older, from the 90s toys. So I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be kind of a bust. They have not a whole lot of back issues sitting out. And I'm flipping through them, and they're all modern. This is probably mostly stuff that was on the new shelves that has become back stock. So, I'm definitely not going to find old Daredevils in here. Most likely not going to find any 90s Demons. And I mean, just look, I didn't find those, and just kind of flipping through in general, I didn't see anything really, as old as 90s even. So I'm like, oh crap. It's a great looking shop. I just got really, really bummed. But then I walked back to, it's kind of around the corner and whatever, and here I see a wall. Okay, they have some older stuff. There are some wall books. And there was a guy working behind the counter there. And then I see behind there are some short boxes that say like older Marvel or something like that. Like, oh, okay. So out here in the main room, this is all new stuff. There is some older stuff. So I asked, like, I'm looking for older Daredevils. So he pulls out a box and it's got some Silver Age older Daredevils in there. Oh, great. None that I needed, which is fine because I only need, at the time, 5 Daredevils. Like, the odds of them having what I'm looking for just aren't there. And a couple of them would be on the wall if they had them, and they weren't. And then I was asking, like, I'm also looking for these older demons. I'm looking for plops. And he's like, we don't have any of those in the shop. But there's a warehouse. There's a warehouse that has all bunch of crazy stuff. So they have a lot of older stuff, but in the store, it seems they only keep more recent issues and then a smaller selection of older stuff. And unfortunately, no one that was there that day had access to the warehouse to go look at things. And like I'm kind of passing through. I'm not going to be back. So that was too bad. They might have had more stuff that I needed, but I started looking over wall books that they had, and there were some that piqued my interest, and I ended up getting a few, and I was very, very happy with them. Very happy with the prices that they had on them. I mean, I didn't... And this seemed like a more... Not like a small shop, and not like a corporation shop, but you can kind of tell, like, this isn't the kind of place that really haggles with stuff, especially with some rando just coming in. But honestly, I didn't really feel that I had to in order to get decent prices. I thought they were priced very well. That partially may have been because they were priced in Canadian dollars, and the US dollar is a little bit stronger than the Canadian dollar right now, so that helped with that conversion. But I was happy with the prices I ended up paying for these. So I picked up What If 10, the first Jane Foster Thor. I have this already, so at one point I bought a full run of What If that had What If 10 in it, of course, but it wasn't in super great shape. It was not a goal of mine to replace it, but if something came along and it was for a good price, I would, because then I could sell my other one, make some back on it, and then have a nicer looking copy. And this needs a little bit of work. It needs a little bit of cleaning, but for the most part, this thing is a very, very good copy. I would, as it is, even as it is, I would put it as a high grade copy. It's really, really nice, and I can make it a little bit better. It might be something that is considered for grading, but I mean, I don't need to grade everything that's gradable. Kind of, at this point, it kind of depends upon what I personally feel like having graded. So I highly doubt that I'll grade this, but it's definitely in or can get to gradable condition. Maybe somewhere in the mid 9s or so. But was really happy with that. This is a book that I've been kind of wanting for a while now, and that is Blip #1. So this is a video game magazine that Marvel put out in 1983. So it's kind of cool because it's the first one, but more importantly, this has a backup comic that features Mario and Donkey Kong. So it is the first comics appearance of both Mario and Donkey Kong, as it predates those Valiant books. So pretty cool book to have for a both a comic collector and a video game fan. And the last book that I got from Galaxy, this is a book I have been wanting for a while, just the right copy hasn't come by, and that is Thor number 134, the first appearance of the High Evolutionary. So this book got really hot for a little bit because he showed up in Guardians 3. which I actually just recently watched for the first time because it came to Disney Plus, and oh my god, I don't remember the last time I have cried so much at a movie. Man, that thing was heart wrenching, but it was great. Anyway, every time I saw this book, it was way overpriced, in really poor condition, and overpriced for that condition. I just haven't come across a good looking copy that was for a decent price. And I was surprised to see this one. This one is far from perfect. It's not high grade. It's probably a higher mid grade. It looks beautiful. It just has some little problems. So the biggest problem is that you can see it got crunched at some point. It looks like, so that's got a pretty nasty set of dings on there. But other than that, this book is beautiful, beautiful. It could use a little bit of cleaning, obviously a press, because you can still see the creases there. It wasn't pressed. This, I don't know. I might grade this just because it was such a good deal. It's such a good looking copy, and it would look good hanging up on the wall. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. But that's all I got from that trip. I'll also throw in a bonus just because it's sitting here. And I guess I kind of got it on the trip. Every once in a while, I'm looking to fill in this Daredevil run, so I'll check out eBay and Shortboxed and Hip Comic and whatnot to see if there happens to be something up that I need. And on Shortboxed, someone had a Daredevil number 38, which was the highest number issue of Daredevil that I needed. And it was for what I thought was an incredible price, having being slabbed already. What was I going to say about it? Oh, so I have purchased this book before. I purchased a copy of this book on Atomic Avenue, which I really, really like. I haven't had any bad experiences there. So I purchased a raw copy of this on Atomic Avenue. When I got it, I was not happy with the condition. It may have been just a disagreement in, grade or whatever. It doesn't matter because we got it resolved. But when it comes down to it, I had a copy of this book, but I didn't have a copy that I wanted to include in my collection. So I still needed this book. So I looked this up. I saw it. I don't think I even bothered putting in an offer. I'm like, that price is great. So a book like this, the grading alone is probably $25 to $30. And this book was up there for $50. And $50 for this book raw is probably about what I would have to expect to pay, somewhere around there. It's not super high grade. It's a 5.0, but I will tell you what, this is one of the best looking 5.0s that I have ever seen. I haven't looked up the notes, which I will do. And I'm not saying that it's perfect. There are some problems with it. But if this is a 5.0, it is a very, very good presenting 5.0. There is a date stamp on the back, which doesn't deter from grade for a book like this. Generally, I don't like date stamps if they're on the front cover. On the back cover, I don't mind so much, especially when it's at such a good price. So I bought this while I was on vacation. I bought it on the Shortboxed app while I was on vacation. So we're counting it towards the vacation stack. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Part of me first look up and it's off-white to white pages. The pages are fine. I want to look up the notes on it, see if there's something major that I'm missing. Maybe there's something on the inside, but I mean, it doesn't say it's incomplete anywhere. Part of me thinks about cracking it and resubmitting it for a higher grade, but at the same time, it's not a book that I really need graded. I was completely okay with having this book raw, but having a good looking copy graded for the price that it was, it was just like, you know, I haven't thought about it for a little bit. Like, that's just, I know I'm going to pay more than $50 for this, either graded or ungraded, until when I finally pick it up. So I just went ahead and pulled the trigger on it, and I'm happy with it. But it's also, that's a great wall book, right? That's a great book to throw up on the wall. So just leaving it as is, putting it in the cycle of books that I put up there, which I again need to do. Maybe I'll do that today. So I'm guessing I'll probably just keep it as is. But yeah, that's it. I know I was worried. I'm very happy with what I got from Rainbow. Obviously, a good chunk of the demons that I needed. The first place I hit, I only walked away with this, and then when I walked into Galaxy, I was like, oh no, I spent all this time driving an hour and a half to Winnipeg, and all I'm going to walk away with is Micronauts 1. But it turns out that got some great stuff from them. Some really great stuff for really, really good prices. So that is it. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've hit up any really cool shops in Canada, especially in that area, as I will probably be going back there sometime in the future. It's a really good area, and I have reasons to go back to that area. So, between Book Fair and Galaxy, if you've seen gone to any of the other shops in that area, let me know so I know to hit them up the next time I'm up there. But that is it for this. I am getting antsy to open up these rad dudes. I want to see what's in there. So like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.